Okay, thanks for coming, everybody. We're going to go ahead. We're going to start with Peter and Joe because they have a meeting and they need to. They're going to. Okay, so 85 groups. So we're going to try to hold the presentations to 10 minutes so we're able to be done by 1 or shortly thereafter because I know people have to teach and we want to have time. So I do have my little stopwatch. So if we start getting long-winded, don't be offended. I'll start doing this. Okay? I know they're all great and have a lot to say, but just so we can fit everybody in because we have a lot of good stuff. Okay. Yay. Joe and Quita.
Okay, hey everybody, I'm Quita, this is Joe. We're in sociology and geography and political science. And so we took on this ambitious endeavor of having a bystander intervention project last semester called the Red Flag Campaign. It took place from September 27th until October 8th, and thank you so much for everybody who was involved in that project because we need lots of support. Yeah. So we want to talk to you about how we used our assessment mini grant and how the project basically came together using those funds. We tried to put it together in terms of looking at advocacy and how we were able to empower the campus. So we had a kickoff lecture, we had an Instagram story campaign, and we had a bystander intervention of having students to still and faculty and community members to write statements that were actually unhealthy on flags so that people could understand that this is a red flag, this is not the way I want you to communicate with me. And then we also had an in-class assessment where there was a homework assignment that students in 3 classes needed to complete, as well as conference presentations, and I'll give you right at the end just a little snapshot so that you can see what our student has put together for that conference. So I'm going to first talk to you about the kickoff lecture and how it related. The goal of this kickoff lecture was for us to try to get as many stakeholders and faculty and administration as possible to attend this particular event so that we could silently coerce them into having faculty training available for Title IX. And so that we could think about who the stakeholders were, who's in this room, and who can become part of the prevention task force. So we were successfully able to get a Title IX training module adopted for faculty and staff, as well as create a prevention task force of stakeholders on campus who are interested in fighting against domestic violence and the issues related on campus. So the FLAG campaign was successful in that we brought people together, and that was part of our mission. The Instagram advocacy campaign was a part of the marketing strategy. As stated by one of the students on our residence life page, I was involved in something that was bigger than I am. So the students became engaged and involved, and we were able to use social media to really bring people together. There were interviews done where people at the flag stations came up to people and asked the question, what is a healthy relationship to you? So we were talking about healthy communication and really bringing that to life. So the students became an active part of this. The next part was the flag decoration, and if you look on this handout, it was very large font, if you can see this. There was a budget for our project, and the assessment mini grant was very useful for the event supplies and for our marketing and surveys and brochures and handouts that we use electronically, as well as we printed those. And so if you can see here, we created these banners, and Larry Dowdy and his amazing team helped us to print these out and to get some of these things that we needed for our project. So we were able to have the Instagram stories done right in front of these booths because our assessment mini grant helped us to collect some of the supplies that we needed. We also had a flag display. Also with our assessment mini grant, we were able to purchase some of the flags. So this is what it looked like, and this is what we spent our money on. We had about 820 some odd flags. in support of this event. We've also kept those flags, and so Stand Up Thursdays, their events, they take the flags and they use the flags to sit out. And if you come to, because I know you're going to come to the 3D Dash, right? When you come to do that with us, right? At the end of next month, when you go onto the football field, they'll also use these flags as like a way to, like a runway for people to come in. So we'll be utilizing these flags for events in the future. We won't just throw them out, we'll keep using them. So we'll use this assessment money. Okay. Thank you.
And for the seamless transition. So the nuts and bolts of the actual in-class assessment incorporated a number of different classes, but also a number of different approaches to gauging what the students learn, both in their own research, but also in terms of how they've applied this. And we also tie in some experiential learning into this as well. But the three classes that are listed here are the ones that were incorporated in this assessment. And as you see below, we have some of the quantitative measures from this. I'll also go into some detail on some of the qualitative takeaways from this. But as you see, we had 95 total students that could have participated, and of those 95, we had participation from 84. Overall, the performance by the students was very impressive, very informed, and it wasn't as if they were just offering sort of knee-jerk observations. The assignment also asked students to go out and kind of do their own research, read about other similar mobilization programs, and kind of bring in what they've learned from that. But overall, as you can see, the students did very well in this, scoring a percentage of 92%, just to give you. And we only had 11 who didn't participate. I think Quita has some interesting observations on what that means as far as the broader implications of our research here. In terms of, aside from the statistics of this, we also looked at some of the qualitative materials generated by the students. And when we were reading through the responses, we recognized they could be broken up into two broad categories. First and foremost was the importance of awareness. And so we started pulling anecdotes, discussions, or remarks from students regarding awareness. And so one of the things that came out from a number of students is how they were able to connect what we were doing in this campaign to other broader social movements. For instance, one student remarked that there's a lot of similarities, and perhaps there's a lot we can pull from the drinking and driving campaigns, in efforts to try to reduce fatalities and just simply the presence of drinking and driving. In addition to that, many students, perhaps more than any other category with respect to awareness, noted the goals of bystander intervention. Importantly, they noted that it seeks to eliminate victim blaming, it works to change social norms, and it also seeks to improve social interactions on campus, all of which serve as sort of the cornerstone or bedrock of this broader project. But raising awareness wasn't all that we were hoping to do. And we were also hoping to take action or help encourage the students to take action among themselves. And for this, we see that their remarks in this category fall into these three categories. So first of all, they saw different ways to become mobilized, to take efforts in their own lives. And we mentioned that coercion word earlier, and one of the interesting takeaways from this for me is that some students mentioned or acknowledged kind of the obvious reference to coercion, right? Coercion is negative, it's harmful. But then one student kind of took it a step further and said, but if this really takes off and it really works to change these social norms, we can use this altered social norms to coerce people to not do these things. And we think that's an interesting takeaway. Also, as we saw in Quita's half of the presentation, there's just a sheer impressive amount of information being shown here, incorporating students in their engagement as well. And then lastly, some students also picked up on some of the shared values and shared ideas from other campaigns, such as the Green Dot campaign. And what's notable about this is the students who participate in programs like Red Flag, like bystander intervention, Green Dot, which is a program that the University of Kentucky uses, they see a substantial reduction in the number of students who are involved in these unhealthy relationships, sexual assaults, simply by participating in these programs. So we think it's a valuable learning experience, but we think that the benefits of this clearly extend well beyond the classroom. And then surveys advocacy, as Quita mentions, there's also a survey component to all of this, and we are very pleased with the results of this. So first of all, 96% of survey participants thought that the knowledge shared was useful or very useful. 83% of those agreed that, or strongly agreed that the event encouraged discussion about these interpersonal relationships. It's not always an easy conversation to have, but it's an important conversation to have. And we also see that 80% of the survey participants reported that decorating these flags increased their own understanding of bystander intervention. And so, a lot that we pulled from this, and I think we're still learning about everything that we have, and we plan on continuing this roadshow next week at the EXA conference down in Herndon, Virginia. What am I forgetting? That's it? All right.
Okay. So yeah, it's 10, we are
done, and I promised you that I would just show you this image of this poster.
That is the poster that our student will present at the conference. It will be, it will not look that tiny, the font. But this is her poster and also her senior thesis project for Sociology 420. Thank you so much.
Yay! Nice.
Sorry that we have to leave too.
On the 3D dash.
Okay.
We'll hear more about it. It's an event that is like a dash to fight against domestic violence, and I'll make sure that we get.
It's gonna go out to campus,
Mhm.
and then you
I think it was out in Tom's email.
Oh, oops, okay, sorry.
It's okay. That was this morning. It's okay.
If not, it's coming.
But yeah, but I'll get I'll get more information, and if anybody wants to know
They'll
what
probably
what.
put something on the page. Maybe on the page.
Okay, you all can email me, and we're gonna get the Girl Scouts and everybody doing the dash, so you can dash with us on our team.
Okay. Okay, yay. Take balloons, I'll make. You wanna go next?
Sure.
You guys together?
So this is the second time, our second road show, right? That Laura and I have done our project, our mini grant here.
Okay.
And we focused ours again on trying to increase the students utilizing our peer tutoring services. So we tried to offer these different group tutoring opportunities a couple of times before, strategically placed before an exam, and tried to see if there was an increase in our one-on-one tutoring. So see if that group tutoring kind of increases anything. So here are some of our tutors from the past two seasons here. This is our current group of micro tutors that Laura has been able to recruit, and I've been able to hire and get them to stay with us. I think this graph is interesting because it's showing over the past 4 semesters, the point at which we started this group tutoring idea. So right now, the only opportunity back in fall of 14 and spring of 15 was one-on-one tutoring. So students just had to sign up one-on-one. We started with our first mini grant there. You can see that the number of students that have attended either one-on-one tutoring, face-to-face tutoring, or with the group study tutoring has significantly improved. Is there anything you want to say specific about that? I mean, that's what we were trying to go for with this, was to increase our one-on-one tutoring. We wanted to use our group tutoring experience to help just influence that, have the students really establish a relationship with that tutor, and hopefully thinking they would go ahead and sign up one-on-one. This experience was so positive and helpful. I've now made a connection with that student. I'm not intimidated to sign up for 101.
So you can see in fall 14 that we had very low rates of, these are the percent of students, and the green line is the percent of students registered for micro who went to a one-to-one peer tutoring for microbiology. And you can see that in fall 14 we had very low participation in tutoring. In spring of 15 we started having tutor commercials where we had the peer tutors come and speak in my microbiology lab, and we did get some increase there. And then in fall of 15, Emily and I started we started the study groups, and you can see that our participation in tutoring has really, really improved. And I hear back from students after these study groups that they are extraordinarily helpful. It's been really a great response from students. One of the interesting things that we're not sure what we're going to do about is that we started the study groups because we wanted students to go to one-on-one peer tutoring, but a number of the students who go to the study groups actually really like the group study, and have commented to me how useful the group study is. And I don't know if it's because they feel more comfortable in a group setting or because they learn from the other students who are in that group study and the questions that the other students ask.
We're still only seeing about 25% of the class attending group tutoring opportunities, but I think that's a feasible number for our tutors to kind of manage. In a session, we have offered it at, Sundays and then a Tuesday, and we alter the time. So it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we're going to do 7 to 9. So we've kind of tried to target and get, more students to come, but we do know that time, whereas the group tutoring is only offered a couple of times before an exam, but the one-on-one goes continually. So, that schedule is a little bit more easy for a student to tap into, but we're not sure why more students are not taking advantage of the one-on-one, but we've definitely had a significant increase in the one-on-one tutoring just from a couple of years ago.
Do you track how many students are overlap between the one-on-one tutoring and the peer tutoring?
Yes,
We do.
Yes, that worked so well. So students who attended both one-on-one and group study in fall of 15, we had 6. In spring of 16, we had 13 students, and in fall of 16, we had 6. But you have to keep in mind that those are raw numbers and
Right,
not
and this is
percentages. We
percentages,
have
yeah.
different, I have more
It
sections
depends.
in the spring.
So
than the
between
fall.
6 and 13, I think that's a really good number for some of that
Oh,
overlap.
no, I don't have the percent, that's all
Yeah.
right. Okay.
So here's what our tutors are telling us about this experience, because this was a new venture, a new experience for our tutors. I try to give them a lot of support on how we could structure these so that it did have some sort of a format so that when the students walk in, they're not just asking their own individual questions. We've tried a couple of different things with that technique. Laura's been great about sending, here's a working document of topics that I want to make sure that the tutors know about hitting that's going to be on the exam. So she'll sometimes highlight the majority of the students are struggling with this section or that section. That gives the tutor kind of a blueprint of what to go from. Individually, they have really taken and run with this without much direction from myself. They have come up with their own little activities. They've come up with little games. They've come up with really some great group interaction kind of exercises, and they've rotated. We took the hour-and-a-half time that the tutor is paid, and we rotate students every 20 minutes to each of these 3 different groups. So we keep the information going, we keep it interesting, we keep it live, keep good energy in the room so they're not just, okay, this is the only thing I need help with. We really want them to touch on all of these different areas that Laura has identified that they need to be prepared with. But the tutors have kind of made it their own. This is what they are saying about the individual sessions. So they're saying, you know, this is what we went over. We went over a lot of material. We slowed things down. We really took time to think about the lecture material and the structure of the material. What our two Ts are saying, these were the goals that the tutors wanted the 2T to have after their individual session. So you can see a lot of them they're just so positive, you know, and then they're very directive. You've got to start studying earlier. Like, this is student to student talking about this is what you need to do in order to succeed in this course. But a lot of things that stood out to me, you know, this person is getting more organized. They're feeling more confident. They're really being able to evaluate how this student is doing and giving them hopefully some encouragement, you know, to really get through the course.
Went ahead there. Some of the students have weekly appointments with tutors. They're not, this isn't just one appointment. And so I see students who come to me and say, I have an appointment every week with so-and-so. And at all grade levels. I mean, I have a student now who's one of the top students in the class and has a weekly appointment with the tutors. And the tutors are absolutely excellent. They do such a good job.
So, questions? Yes, Bob?
The question was is, are you seeing great success in your classes? Are more of them passing? Are they getting better grades? Are they recovering faster? I was hoping
I'd be able to do that, thank you. That was not a planted question, right?
This is a harder question to address. It's not a controlled study. We haven't taken students to say, okay, you get to go to tutoring and you don't get to go to tutoring. And so there are complicating factors. Students who are better at being a student are more likely to know they should get help when they come. However, we do see, this is the grade breakdown in the last 2 semesters with, in blue are students who did not go to a tutor one-on-one and did not go to a study group. And in red are students who did one or the other or both. They've either gone for a one-on-one.
Yeah, I mean, this one just really stood out to me. So the students that are using the center are getting a D, but they might have been in this category had they not been using that tutor. So that's one that, you know, they're.
And if we break it down into percent of the students who go to ASC, they have a higher percentage of A's and B's than the students who don't go to ASC, and they have a lower percentage of D's and F's than students who don't go to ASC. But we have no way of saying if that's cause and effect, because it's not a controlled study. But we do see, you know, a lower percent of D's and F's than students who go to tutoring.
Could you compare student performance in this class to another biology class to see where they might have fallen without the academic support center versus where they got in their class?
So I think one thing we have to think about if we did something like that is that this course is really particularly driven for nursing, right? Nursing majors need this course.
I wouldn't say that. It's a dual purpose class.
Okay.
So it's a class that is taken by many majors. So we have biology, chemistry, and nursing majors. We also have some psychology and EMBS. And
So it's a mixed bag of students that we have, so we would really need to think about that too.
and they also have a very different background coming
Yeah.
into the class depending on their
Yeah.
peers.
Well, thank you.
You're gonna continue to try to do this, right? Let's keep it up.
Yeah.
I think it's great. Okay.
Sure.
Are you good?
I don't have a fancy PowerPoint, so
That's
forgive me
okay,
for that.
that's fine. No
I
problem.
used my mini grant to attend a teaching and learning conference. It's the American Political Science Association's Teaching and Learning Conference. So it's specific to my discipline, but you know, the material, of course, I think is applicable much more broadly than just to political scientists. What I love about this conference is that it has a track. It's organized by tracks, and it has a working group methodology. So it's not a typical conference where you pick and choose which ones you want to go to and you show up for your own panel and then you maybe go to a few other ones in different areas or something like that. When you sign up either to present a paper or to be on a track, you stay with the same group of people over the entire 3 days. So it's much more like a workshop kind of situation. So, and then everyone in the group is supposed to act as discussants for all the papers that are being presented over the course of several days. So you connect with people and you really talk with people, but you also really get a much more in-depth evaluation of the papers that are being presented and the information that's out there. So the track that I selected was the core curriculum general education track, and I did present some of my own research in that track, but I was also there to get some ideas for our assessment protocol primarily, although I also learned some teaching things, so I'll share some of those things with you also. But on the assessment side, I would say there were 3 big things that I came away with. The first one came out of some from my own research, but also from other people that were presenting, was the importance of assessing for the core at multiple stages in the student's progression. Since we have a vertically integrated core, students should be taking core classes as freshmen, they should be taking core classes as sophomores, they should also be taking core classes as juniors and seniors. And so in order to really get at that and assess that, we should be assessing at all, sort of stages of progression for students. So we've made a decision in political science now that we're going to assess the 100-101 course, which is primarily first and second year students. But we're also going to assess the 300 level. There's 2 300 level courses in political science in the core, 300 and 350. And so those are mostly sophomores and juniors, and then also, of course, our capstone, which is of seniors. So to make a concerted, intentional effort to assess over the entire course sequence. The second thing seems so simple, but I can say we are certainly not doing it in political science. And that is, if we really want to assess the impact of the course itself and the exposure to the material, you really have to do a pre-test, post-test design. So, up to this point in political science, we've only been assessing sort of at one point in the semester to see if the competency is being met. And that's all nice and fine and good, but how do we know that the student wouldn't have done well on that assessment irregardless of the course? We just have no way of knowing. So it's in my brain, we're not prepared to do anything yet with this, but I think to do a proper job of assessment, to see what impact the course itself is having, we have to do something the first or second day of class and then something at the end of class to see what's happened over that time period. And then the third takeaway on assessment was so interesting. This research that this group did, the impact of talking with students briefly about the intended student learning outcomes for the course. So, it's on my syllabus, we're required to have it on the syllabus, and, I always say something about them the first day. They're on the syllabus, you should look at them. And that's about it, right? So, but what this group did was actually 2 brief discussions over the course of the semester where they talked specifically about each of the ISOs, the intended student outcomes, associated with the course, and didn't even do very much more than that, just a brief discussion. And what they found was that just those 2 brief discussions, like maybe 10 minutes at most, there was a positive correlation between having had those discussions and students actually knowing what the course objectives were. A positive correlation between having those discussions and students feeling that the skills that they were learning mattered. Wow. And thirdly, a slight positive but significant correlation with actual student learning. So their performance was actually better in the sections where they had these brief discussions about the ISOs for the course. I'm super jazzed about that. I'm really excited. So that's something that anyone could do. I mean, I get that we already feel so stressed about getting everything in over the course of the semester, but these were very brief discussions with students, in some detail specifically about what the ISOs were for the course. But to have such positive outcomes suggests to me that that's
Are you
something
trying
we
that
should do.
into like one section, having those?
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it, but I've been distracted by something else I've
Oh,
done on the
okay.
teacher side. So, two things on the teaching side. And one is research about reading compliance. So, there's a lot of literature out there about reading compliance. Students actually doing the reading before class are clearly linked to predictors of student success. So everything from exam grades to overall grades to actual understanding of concepts when students actually do the reading. So this research was on journal writing as a technique for ensuring compliance. And so it wasn't a very high, they were not high stakes assignments, they were low stakes assignments, but there were multiple of them over the course of the semester. For each new chapter, students had to submit a little journal entry online, which they graded. Students knew they were going to be graded, but low stakes. And that was one complaint actually that the faculty had, that this was a significant amount of having to do looking through these journal entries, so they're not quite sure how they're going to handle that in the future. But the students self-reported that they were doing much more reading as a result of having in those courses, in that course where they had to do the journal writing. But the faculty actually saw a positive correlation with participation in class. So they didn't get a correlation of any kind with actual performance, but they had a pretty small n and all kinds of issues, but definitely with actual participation in the course. So I thought that was pretty encouraging. Pretty encouraging. I don't know how you handle the extra workload of looking through all the journal entries for every student, for every reading, and that was a complaint. That was a complaint. And the thing that kind of got me jazzed was, and I'm sure I'm just behind the curve. I swear I'm not a Luddite, but this online text replacement system that I was exposed to at this conference has got me really excited. So it's actually the text I use in the class, but it's an online platform, so no actual physical textbook. And the thing about it is, and of course as a political scientist, this makes me pretty excited, but they can update content almost immediately. So if there's an important court case, or, they can update certain windows in the text, right? Right. So like the travel ban, right? That court case, they could update that immediately. And so students are getting very current information, which is pretty exciting from a political science perspective. The content itself is still completely author-driven, so it's the same text that I'm using in my class, it's the same authors, it's got the same structure, but it's 100% online. It is also totally mobile. So students, there's an app associated with it, students can download it to their phone, to their iPad, to their computers. So no textbook to carry around, no textbook to lose. It's excellent for commuters and students with ADA because it's completely audio, so they could be listening to the text while they're driving to, commuting to school. And then this platform also has built into it both engagement tracking pieces and also like sort of assessment or accountability tracking. So students read a little bit, and then they have to do some activity before they can get the rest of the content. And so, and as the faculty person, you can see, how engaged they are, how much they've actually read, each student, how much they've actually read, how many of these activities they've actually completed. And they have 3 different versions of these activities. So there's what they call speed bumps, which is just this, you can't proceed unless you complete this little poll or, until you do a little journal entry or something, which the faculty member doesn't even need to look at. They actually do an assessment of the quality of the answer based on previous responses to those questions. So they have that, and then they have questions that are driven, that are more content-based, and then they have actual essays. So I can change those, I can make those associated with points, I can do anything I want with them. I can change the question itself, I can just use the question they provide. And when students can download the assignment parts and do them, and the next time they're in Wi-Fi, they automatically upload. And if they have the app on their phone or on their tablet, they get push alerts when things are due. I'm so excited about this.
What's the company?
It's Pearson,
Pearson.
and it's cheaper than a textbook.
Oh,
By a lot, it's half the price of the textbook. They get 1 year access to the online platform. And so I'm pretty jazzed about that. A couple years ago, I attended this conference and I learned about something called the oral quiz, which is a way to try to get reading compliance, which is, there are no tests in the class at all. I actually, in the course of lectures, I have a randomized list of student names and I just update that. I have a different randomized list once I get through my roster once, I make a new randomized list. And they get called on for some question based on the reading in class. I've noticed a big increase in reading compliance, and it's made a huge difference, I think, in what students are getting out of the course. But
Open question? You call that open question?
oral quiz, and it's a 4 points, and it's sort of like, if they're not there, I don't take attendance anymore. It saves me like 10 minutes not having to take attendance. If they're not there, they get a 0. If they get called and they're not there, they get a 0. If they're present but they make no effort to answer the question, they get 1 point. If it's a partial response, but they clearly don't really know what's going on, they get 2 points, if they at least made an attempt. 3 for most of it, but not quite there, and then 4 for a fully complete and developed answer. Students come to class because the oral quizzes, they get a point at least if they're there. So, and I teach at 8 o'clock in the morning, so it seems to have made a real difference in attendance. But, and I think performance, but I want to do an actual study, and I do want to compare if this easier access and the engagement techniques that are part of the online platform will actually even improve that even more. So I'm teaching 2 sections of American federal government in the fall, and I think one I'm going to do the traditional text, and then one I'm going to use the online platform, and then compare, and then see if it actually makes any difference. But I was pretty excited about it, and as I say, I'm not like opposed to technology, but this was kind of like all new to me, and so I was pretty excited about it.
That gets some reading, right? The little speed bump things, I think that's neat.
And they make it so easy, right? Because you can just have the app and you get these notifications when stuff is due, and I can track their engagement. Like, all I have to do is log in and look. Right now, it's not associated with Sakai. It's associated with some of the other gradebook software stuff that's out there, but they're hoping to have it associated with Sakai, so you could just import it, sync it directly into Sakai
You
gradebook.
can sync other Pearson, like we've got my math lab going.
We don't, we get them out of there. Rich told you that we're gonna do that at some point, but we get it manually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I could see it and then I could enter it into Sakai, but they're saying by not fall of 2017, no, right, but definitely maybe spring of 2018 or fall of 2018, my text will be with
Just
Sakai.
have one login and then they can.
Yes. And also I can just have grades downloaded directly into
That'd
Sakai.
be nice.
Yeah, so I don't have to go to any.
Yeah. It's very cool.
So it's a great conference. If you have anything in your discipline that uses the working group model, I highly recommend it. I'm still, chatting with people and bouncing ideas back and forth with people that were on the track with me. And it also gets you excited again about teaching.
Yeah. Thanks, that's very cool. I'll have to get you to do maybe a fossil to show the Pearson.
It works.
Yeah, it works, yeah.
We'll see what happens.
We'll keep it on our. Well, I've got assessment ideas too.
And I should also say that the beauty of the online text is that students can get 14 days for free. So at the beginning of the semester, so none of this like, oh, I wasn't sure I was gonna stay in the class, so I'm waiting for the textbook to come in.
Oh, right.
They can get immediate access for 14 days, or if they're waiting for financial aid. And then if they stay in the course, and when their financial aid comes in, then they can actually buy the year-long access. And that is awesome. And you can just go directly through Pearson. Students can go directly through Pearson, or they can go through the bookstore if they need to for financial aid purposes. So it's a little cheaper if you don't go through the bookstore. So students who have that as an option, it's even cheaper. But if they need to go through the bookstore because they get financial aid and that's the only way to apply it, then they can also do that. So I think it almost sounds too good to be true. We'll see.
Definitely the journaling that they were doing, did they have an open-ended journal entry or was it?
They had a prompt. They had a prompt specific to the reading for each one. So, and then students were supposed to bring in examples from the reading or whatever. It wasn't supposed to be more than a page. But, you know, they were teaching at a community college, and so they had very large class sizes. So, you know, reading, journaling, even if it's only a page for 100 students every week, was an awful lot. It was an awful lot.
I mean, you can always, the beauty about putting stuff online is they think you're always reading it.
Yes,
You're always reading
right.
And you can also outsource some of that work activity for your class and have them respond and read to each other's work. So it's always being utilized, but you can do a quick scan and pull out some comments or ask someone to explain some things further that they did in their journal. And so they know that you're looking.
That you looked at it.
But, you know, you have a kind of rotation schedule, like I'm gonna look at the first half of my roster for the journals today or this week, and then next week I'll switch. So there are ways that you can manage that, you know.
It wouldn't be such a burden.
Right, exactly, because there is a limit on it, and you have to think about those pragmatic issues. So I think, yes, it may be more, but it may be not as more as you think it's going to be.
Seamless transition. I'm gonna cut, can we hold the question? I'm gonna cut the question just because we have like 7 minutes left.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you time.
So I also went to a conference. So I have a handout, no fancy PowerPoint. And mine was very much a learning experience too. And I mean, like, it's helpful for me to, the conference that I went to was college communication and composition. So my field, and you know, it's so easy to feel isolated as like the one person doing the thing here on campus. And so it's so nice to, it's been like at least 2 years since I was at this conference. So it was an expensive conference to go to because it was important. So the grant absolutely helped facilitate that. But I got so much out of the conference, more than just my sinus infection. And a really great donut, because I got a new donut while I was in Portland, so I think that's important to mention. It really was the best donut I've ever
So I
had.
just got back.
Well, I went over break, but I'm working on 3 weeks of sick.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how sick I've been. Today's like been the best day, so I'm coming back. But I was able to do lots of different things and learn lots of different things, and I'll just condense it for the sake of time. One of the persistent things that I've been working on as director of writing here at Shepherd is trying to make assessment less of a burden, transition it more seamlessly into our curriculum, connect it with our student learning outcomes, and do it in a way that respects the stakeholders in our program. And so, of course, you know, if I'm the director, then we have various tenure track faculty who are teaching, but we also are supported heavily with contingent faculty in our 101 and 102 classes. So we have two full contingent full-time non-tenure track faculty. Then we have a bevy of adjuncts as well. So trying to get them involved and invested in the program assessment and kind of do a grassroots application of assessment and get their buy-in, because of course that's necessary and really important for a fair and accurate assessment of the program. And a few years ago, through support from CTL, we were able to do a full portfolio assessment, and it was a great learning experience for faculty, and everyone just said how wonderful it was. But it just, the reality of it is it's such a huge time-intensive process although it is best practice in my field, it's just not something we can do every single year. So I've been, the last few years, trying to figure out, if we rotate that through, what else can we do on the kind of off years, as it were. So I actually, in the back of your handout is notes from a previous handout from a previous celebration of student learning, and I thought it would be interesting just to give it to you to say, this has been an ongoing process, and it's something that I'm so grateful that CTL has been able to help me continue to do. So we have this really successful portfolio experience, and I was talking before a couple years ago about, what do we do next, and kind of my research interest is on mindfulness, and so thinking about that in the classroom, but also as a program element, what does it mean to be a mindful assessor, and what would a mindful assessment look like? And so the first 5 points on the front of that handout are some of the things that I talked about at the conference. So I presented a couple times and did some working groups as well. I think this conference experience, for me anyway, it seems like people are finally shifting instead of just presenting at you, that there's working groups and breakoffs, and my conference wasn't as progressive as this one because it's one of those it's the big conference in the field, so it's going to be a glacier to move and change. But it was more dynamic and interactive than it's ever been before. So I have those 5 lists before you. For the sake of time, I won't read them all. But the underlying ones there are the ones that I'm most motivated by right now. So getting faculty involvement, attending not only to our student learning outcomes, but how we're getting to those outcomes, so the experiences, the student experiences, and faculty experiences. That's been a key thing for me personally to start focusing on. And then using these, of course, to come back to the program and to change it and shape it, because I really view, even though we have, sort of did this overhaul of the writing program since I've been here, just to continue to dynamically shape it with the faculty and get everyone involved in the constant reshaping and renewing of the program. So we're sort of in the middle of that. If we're looking at closing of the assessment loop, we're sort of in the middle of it. So on the bottom of your handout there on the first page, so what I did was this past year I collected instructor surveys. So asked each instructor to answer questions like the ones 1 through 4 there on the bottom. Those were all of them. And I've been aggregating the data from those. And I've also asked instructors to upload, because I use Sakai, a Sakai site, a permanent Sakai site, to upload some sample student portfolios, because I still want to see sample student work. I don't want to bypass that. But I also want to get a sense of instructor experience, and I think that's really important when you have such a diversity of instructors teaching. And your program goals obviously then can become lost, right, in the transmission, because there's just too many people, too many cooks in the pot. So what I'm doing with all of this, and this is sort of the to be determined part of things, and hopefully I'll be able to come back next year and kind of give you an update again, and that is I'm going to use all of this, and I've been really energized by the conference, to shape. So every fall and spring, I hold a writing program workshop for all of our instructors. And we do a lot of topical things like how to meaningfully integrate technology in their classrooms or that sort of thing. We've talked about collaborative writing and all sorts of really important topics to the program in the past. So this spring, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull some of the information from the assessment itself and show it to the instructors, kind of let them see what's going on in the classes, because everyone feels I'm in my little pigeonhole and you're in your little pigeonhole and we have no idea what we're all doing in our own little pigeonholes. Talk about that, and then say, let's look at the common syllabi, let's look at our student learning outcomes, and say, what do we need to change, what do we need to shape, and really trying to use some of those assessments then to come back and feed into the program and make changes as necessary. And then what I'm hoping, right, is that if we do it that way too, I'll get a lot more buy-in and a lot more communication between all parties, so that everyone's really excited about these new revised common syllabi, and then it kind of folds right back into assessment. And again, for me, it's I want this to be a meaningful experience. I don't want assessment just to be this thing we do because we have to do it. I want it to be a learning tool and something that we can really get excited about. So I'm hoping that will be a really cool May workshop for us, and that it'll take us somewhere really good in the
No, you feel better.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thanks, everybody. Any questions for Christine?
Oh, sorry.
No, you did. some food. We don't have to go back to this anymore, but we do have extra plates. So load up. Come back to your apartments. Don't forget to take photos. Don't forget to take photos.